Okay, and thank you again for joining us for Crosstalking. I'm Brother Bill.
I'm Pastor Rick.
And we'll be answering questions about the Bible today. And our question today is, can divorced people get remarried? Something a lot of people ask, because I know it's a big problem in the world today. So hopefully you can give us some answers to that.
Wow, the Bible has a lot to say about that. Can a divorced person remarry? Well, that was actually a question that they asked Jesus. And Jesus responded. He said, well, the reason that Moses permitted you to divorce is because you wanted it. So the Bible also clearly teaches that God hates divorce. Now, I know those are strong words, but God does hate divorce. When people divorce, it doesn't just affect them, it affects others that are around them. But with all of that said, the question is, what does God say about divorce? Can a person remarry? Well, there's a condition. If a person is still alive, and that can be the two people, they're both still alive, and they have not remarried, and there's a chance for reconciliation, you should not remarry. However, if a person remarries, there's no chance really, in a biblical sense, for you to marry that person again, unless a person dies. But when they remarry, you can now are free to marry again if you'd like to. So, God doesn't want us to divorce, but under conditions where a person remarries or a person dies, then the other person is permitted to remarry. Now, obviously, if a person loses their spouse and they remarry, that is perfectly biblical. And even I know people that have lost two spouses and remarried 3 times. Very godly people living very godly lives. And it's very, very biblical to do something like that. Likewise, also keep in mind, and I'm not saying you're in this category, but Paul said that it was better for him not to marry because he was doing the work of an evangelist. And he couldn't really serve as a husband because he was working for the Lord in that way. Now, that doesn't mean he was married to the church like some people believe. It simply means he felt it would be better. Likewise, Paul also says that if you're burning sexually, it's better for you to marry than to do other things. So marriage has a very, very important role in the covenant agreement that God has with us and the covenant agreement that God has with two people that come together in marriage. And in the event that someone does divorce, there are ways, under certain conditions, they can remarry. I know as a pastor, the one thing that I try and do is I try to prevent that from happening because I want people to go through marriage counseling with me, not extensive marriage counseling. I don't charge them for it. It's just certain things that they have to understand. For example, that the husband, is the spiritual leader of the house. And that he is responsible and accountable for not only the wife spiritually, but also for the children, if children come along. Likewise, it is also important to understand that wife serves as a very important part too. It's really not a 50-50 relationship like people teach. It's 100% relationship. Because if one of them becomes disabled and can't do other things, you can't say, well, they need to pull their weight. They need to do their 50%. You on the other person on the other hand has to do all of it, 100% of it. But that's what a marriage covenant is. God does not see you as two separate people. God sees you as one. When Moses told the children of Israel to stake out the promised land, to take a look at it, they did. And they brought back a cluster of grapes, plural. But in the original text, in the Hebrew, it's grape singular. Now, we don't say grape, just like we don't say egg. We have a dozen eggs. But grape is singular, as is marriage in the eyes of God. So although there are many grapes in a cluster, he sees it as one. And although there are many parts of our personalities to the two people, God sees them as one. And that's a very, very sacred thing. Thank you for asking that question, and I hope that helps you, and God bless.
And thanks again for joining us for Crosstalking. Be sure and like and subscribe if you feel so motivated, and we'll see you again next time.
Thank you.